Hello everyone. I'm Gaylene Rogers Lonergan, and we are happy you can join us for our most recent podcast, Legal Answers Just for Real Estate. Today, we are really fortunate to have Joe Boston, who is a longtime real estate investor in the Dallas-Fort Worth area and the owner of Dallas REIG, which is one of the premier networking and education groups in the Metroplex. Joe, thank you for joining us.
I'm excited to be here.
Glad to have you. So let's just launch right in. So I know from being at your meetings and talking with you that new construction seems to be a pretty hot topic and area.
It is.
Yeah. So would you advise new investors to get into that? And if you did, how would they go about doing that?
So there's a little bit of history behind this and why I think new construction is really the way to go right now. So when Dallas REIG started in 2010, the market was a lot different, meaning, as most of you know, that properties were $65,000.
Yeah,
And now that's a mailbox.
right.
So for us investors, we can make mistakes because back then, even if you paid $65,000 for a house, you could recover. Now vehicles are that
Right.
much, right? So nowadays, what you can do is you can look for those opportunities, but unfortunately, that's very hard to find unless you go way out of the metropolitan service areas. So one of the things that I discovered is creating my own value-based properties, and how you do
Right.
that is new construction. So that's what led me to learn the skill of building and teaching people how to build. It's really, really important to have the skill, right? So skills pay the bills. And that's exactly what we do at Dallas REIG is we now have transitioned from just teaching topics to actually creating a skill-based environment for people to learn. But new construction
Yes.
is one of the ways you can actually somewhat ease the pain of the price shock, in the marketplace right now. Even if people are trying to buy into the market, when people bought or overpaid, they can't lose money, right? So now the market is adjusted or corrected, and so it's still tough to find those deals, especially a shiny new penny. So
Oh, yeah.
most of the times investors are led to buy distressed properties, which, that's absolutely the place to go. But how about buying the same type of property, or getting the same type of property, but it's brand new? Well, you can do that if you know how to build houses.
House. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And also during the pandemic, construction stopped. And so there is a shortage of new construction, houses from construction. Isn't that right?
So there's a shortage, however, I mean, there is a shadow market, meaning I don't want to mislead people and think that there is an inventory. So there is. So for example, Airbnbs, that Airbnb market, when a lot of the metropolitan service areas said, hey, you can't do this, is inventory. However, you're right, and that those aren't new properties. So one of the things that I want investors to focus on is building affordable housing.
Right.
That's where
There
the
is
sweet
a
spot
real
is.
shortage there.
That's where the sweet spot is. And so we teach you how to do that. You can still build at about 115 to 100 per square foot. And so on average, we're selling anywhere from $170 to $200 a foot. So you can see right off the bat, you're creating equity and a value-based proposition to offer buyer,
Right.
right, at an affordable price. And you don't have to build the largest house. So one of the things that Texas is known for, right, is it's always bigger in Texas. So the thing is sometimes to do the opposite,
Right.
to migrate towards, an affordable price point. So you can do that by building a 1,500 square foot house,
Yep.
a starter home, and still putting really nice things, but you could do it at a value that, people can afford. It's really important now, I think, as investors to help the communities That's one of the reasons why we started Dallas REIG,
Absolutely.
was to teach, train, and educate people on how to do the business, but also the right way, but also to help those individuals that need housing and, so that they can come to a reliable source. And I think we've done that, we're still standing. Can you believe it? I mean, it's been a long ride, but we
Absolutely.
still enjoy it.
Yeah,
Uh, always learning skills is the important thing.
absolutely.
What we
Of course, everybody needs to do that to their entire life, right?
we do, but I think it was hard in our environment, uh, in the real estate investing environment, because it's so fast. We were teaching the strategies and talking about the strategies, but not really how to employ them. And so with Dallas REIG, we transitioned from just teaching topics to actually creating programs so that you could get involved and then
And learn,
actually learn and then
do,
have a property to do.
and do. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I just, I know that the market for land there's a big market for land now.
Oof.
Um, which there wasn't that many years ago. So we'll just have to see how that continues,
So I don't even drive certain paths because I'm so disappointed I did not buy land.
right?
But why did I not buy land in 2010?
Right,
Because I didn't have the skill sets to understand that I could build. If I were to, some of the lots now that are going for 150,000, 200,000 just for the lot, or 1,000 or 5,000 in
right,
2010.
yeah.
You're only
Just think
talking
about that.
15,000
Yeah,
or 15 years ago.
yeah,
So what that means is having the ability to understand what you can do or having access to people that have the skill sets. And so I think one of the things we do with the real estate investment groups, not only mine, but those of my friends that are out there doing this too, is we create the platform for you to come and learn, but also have access so that you know how to take advantage of
right.
opportunities.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and land is always gonna be there. Everybody's always gonna need land. I mean, that's a commodity that there's a
Right.
scarce number of, and it's just gonna continue to appreciate.
Right. They're not building any more land, right?
Right,
Or they're not making any
exactly.
more. But here's the thing. I think what you're gonna see also is with the older houses, the people that unfortunately pass away or there's a legacy, not everyone's into real estate. And so as well as I do, being a probate expert, is that when an heir gets a property, maybe that property is dilapidated or it cannot, it's not habitable. So then what do you do with it? A lot of times they'll let that either foreclose or it'll go somewhere else. Well, that's an opportunity if you know how to do new construction,
Correct, that's right,
right? So that it creates a whole nother skill set for you.
right,
So one of the things I want to kind of lead into is that Dallas RAG, we do 6 circles now. So 6 circles were created so that people could actually enter into one of these circles and just learn from day one. So what those circles are is land, which is one of them. We teach you how to assess, evaluate, then how to acquire land, not only improved, which is with house on it, but unimproved and developed or undeveloped. So
Right.
that means if there's utilities or non-utilities
Right.
go into it. So we go through those processes so you can learn that. Then obviously new construction. So we have a full-blown program, and it's called the Builder's Blueprint. So that's actually another company we have that teaches you from beginning to end how to do new construction, which is really great because I think we're the only group now that I know of in the area that teaches new construction, to my knowledge.
for now.
For
Yeah.
now.
Yeah,
Then we have owner finance, which is
very
huge,
huge, right,
which is, in my opinion, probably the best exit strategy for most investors, to learn from the beginning. I wish
right,
I would have known that process and exit strategy when I started, both from the buying and selling side,
right,
right? Then fix and flip. So
right.
we do
That's
that.
kind of the first thing
That's
that
the first thing
investors
people
wanna learn.
learn, but it's
Yeah,
challenging right now.
yeah, exactly.
I want to throw in rentals, right? And landlording because, that's still an option. It's just really tough to do it now because lenders, their formulas don't really work, meaning the cash flow.
Right,
It's really tough right now. And then revenue and money. So one of the things that we focus on too is the one reason why people are doing this business is to make money,
of
but
course.
they know the least amount about it. They know the
Right.
least about money,
Right,
how ROI works, how, NOI works. Why are you doing this? What are the cash flow numbers? From a tax perspective, what do you do?
right, yeah.
Who
you're
should be
right.
on your team, right? So we go through all that. Just like we collaborate in our own team, we have people at Dallas REG that can help those people.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you've touched on owner finance, and yes, that is huge right now, really, and it is an excellent strategy. But not a lot of people understand it. I was just explaining, just in the last few weeks, I have met with multiple investors and advised them that maybe they wanted to consider selling their properties through an owner finance strategy and explaining what the benefit would be to them. And they were just shocked, to be perfectly honest. All they'd ever considered was leasing, renting. So just so everyone out there knows, we're gonna do in the next few months, we're gonna start doing a series of talking about different aspects of owner finance, just because it's so big. People don't understand how to do the insurance on owner finance. People don't understand several of, like you're saying, they generally get the concept, but they don't know the details of what it takes to, what you should know to be successful at it.
Right.
So I know that you personally use the owner finance strategy both ways, right?
Correct. So I think in the future, like you mentioned, one of our people on our team, and Christensen, we developed tools. I mean, specifically for
Right.
this, right? So how that came about was, one of the questions I wish that was asked of me is, do you want the money or the problem? Not that I would say landlording is a problem, but it comes with them.
Comes with problems, yes.
The shift is when you do owner finance is you receive most of the benefits because it's not saying it's without some problems,
Right,
but very few if you're set it up the right way.
the right way.
But you have to know how to analyze it. So at Dallas REIG, we develop tools, right? And I think you're gonna talk about that in the future. But we actually
Absolutely.
have that, and I want to just
Oh,
throw out
yeah.
a little commercial. At
Absolutely.
DallasREIG.com, we have proprietary tools that we've developed that compares owner finance, rentals, new construction.
Absolutely, it's awesome. I attended Ann's talk about that a few weeks ago. It
It's
was
amazing.
amazing.
But what I wish would have happened in the beginning, like I said, I'll go back 20 years, is if I even knew it existed. Because back then we didn't have as many groups. And where I came from in the military, people were kind of very, very conservative.
Right,
But with you being, an icon in the industry and actually supporting the owner finance from a title perspective and doing all the documentation, I don't think people are educated enough to know how sweet it is,
right,
right? I don't think they know, they're not exposed. I wouldn't say educated, but they're not exposed to it.
right,
But I will say that you should always have a diverse portfolio,
of course.
but lead with mitigating your risk. One of the things I'd like to say about owner finance is the property is just a tool. And I think we look at properties from a personal perspective, kind of like our clothes, right?
That's
But it's
right.
a tool. I mean, and
Mhm.
so if you're utilizing tools, you want to have as many as possible in your toolkit that you use,
Right,
but you want them to be diverse. So I would say rentals from our tax perspective, especially if you have a 9 to 5, are really, really important, right? From a
right,
taxation standpoint, but also an owner finance platform from a buyer's perspective, right? When we're actually acquiring properties, people that want to owner finance to us. And then from a selling perspective, so I'll let you know that from a new construction standpoint, the first thing we try to do is owner finance.
Right,
And just a little tidbit is typically you don't affect your principal till about the 7th to 10th year.
right.
And that's why there's so many banks, right? So why not be the bank?
Why not be the bank?
But
That's
you
right.
have the product already. And
Right,
then what you can do is then shift and have the knowledge and the team, right?
right,
People like you gotta
Right.
have the team to then convert it. And then you go to your mailbox. A lot of people don't even have mailboxes now. We say mailbox money, right? You do everything electronic. It's
that's
the
right.
wire, right?
That's
We just come
right.
up with a different phrase.
Yeah, mailbox money maybe.
Not mailbox, but what about wire? I don't know, wire box?
Something.
Something like that, right? But the thing is every month you're receiving a spread. And when you're the bank, I don't know, I've never called Bank of America to fix a toilet,
That's right. You don't have to do that.
right?
Yeah, exactly. There's a big benefit in that. And there's a lot of people, well, younger than me, that own their homes free and clear that, you know, are hesitant to sell their house because of different issues, but if they understood how they could sell their house by owner finance, that would minimize their tax exposure
Correct.
and would guarantee them a revenue, there, that is a market that's untapped.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I think people are afraid, which rightfully so, right? With the environment that we're in, right? So the mind that doesn't know or doesn't understand shuts down.
Right,
And so that's why we provide these platforms for you to actually learn. But, you know, because you have, like I always say, if you have an 800 credit score and don't use it, what is it worth?
what is it worth? Right.
Doesn't mean anything. You just tell everybody. If you have equity in your house and you're not using
And
it,
what is it worth? Right,
right? It's just paper. I mean, oh yeah, I have it. And you think you're hedging. But the thing is, it's just like having money in a bank. If it's not giving you a return and it's just sitting there, what is it
what is
doing
it
for you,
doing
right?
for you?
Sometimes it can become a liability, you know?
Yes,
And I don't mean to, and the thing is too, is what most people's personal property uh is not an asset. A lot of people don't really understand that. And so I always like to say, if your ass is in it, it's not an asset. So remember that. If your ass is in it, it's not an asset.
okay,
So, and your personal property is your ass in it.
yes,
And your vehicle is your ass in it.
yes,
Okay, are those assets?
no,
No, but you can convert
you
them
can
though.
convert them into assets.
Right, so you put
Correct.
someone else's ass in it. I know I
Yeah.
shouldn't be saying it. So if you can do that, then you convert that into an asset.
That's
So,
right,
so owner finance, to your point, for your personal property, you can convert and you can transition that into an asset, is what you're
Right.
saying. And
Yeah, what I'm saying is, yeah, that a older person wants to downsize, instead of having to incur huge tax liability to sell your house,
right,
you could sell it in an installment basis and whatnot, and still, and create revenue for you and avoid a lot of the tax implications.
right. And the cool thing about owner finance is you can sell part of those payments, and I don't want to get too far into
Yeah,
that.
we'll
But-
get some note sales at some point.
But
yeah.
with partials, you can sell and say cash out.
Absolutely,
There's just
yeah,
so many things you can do.
Yeah,
I give a shout out to Eddie Speed, he teaches that as well, but there's a lot of information obviously on the internet, but you want to come and experience that from people that are doing it.
correct.
And this is what I would always say. The real estate investment groups provide you with access to people that are doing it.
Right,
And
that's
so
the
I would
networking
say
aspect is
reading is
amazing.
fine and understanding, have a level of understanding, but it's not just understanding, it's mastering it. Part of mastering is seeing and doing. And so I would say you always want to do that, because why not go to a source where there's an expert and then save yourself the time and trouble if they can
Trying to
give
learn
you
it
the tips
all.
and tricks.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what we do.
Yeah,
We spend countless amount of hours trying to do that so that you can learn.
right,
And that's what we really like.
absolutely. Okay, what's going on with small multifamily?
I think it's really good. So small multifamily, I consider, you know, quadplexes, which is 4
Right.
units, or duplexes, right? And you can go with an eightplex, but quads and duplexes are really hot. Now, why do we say that? Is because if you can basically occupy half of whatever the scale is. So if it's an eightplex, you get four, it covers basically what you owe. And the rest is profit. Four, you did two, you occupy two, rest is profit. With a duplex, as you know, we used to call it the stair step method, where you can live in one side
Right,
and then the other person that's occupying the second side pays for your note. So you're
Right.
living free, right? So same principle applies. Now the issue is land. So, right? So you can buy them, but typically you're buying them at premium price or retail, or it's in distress. So that's why part of our new construction strategy is our building
small multifamily.
small multifamily.
Right, yeah, I have a client that is doing just that, building small duplexes,
Right.
uh, for that very reason.
And the cool thing is that if you flat it correctly, you could have two separate addresses,
Mhm,
and then
that's
you
the
could actually
key.
sell,
Talk
right?
to a lawyer before you do
can
it,
sell-
that's what I
right,
would
you can
say.
sell one. So there's all these different strategies, right? Before you jump into it, but small multifamily is a great thing. I mean, and here's the other aspect of it is because we're in Texas, we do have land. So we have some, right? That people are discovered Texas now, especially the metro, the metropolitan areas.
Right,
But the cool thing is that people that are on the outside of Texas, right? They want to invest here. So I don't know if you realize, but 70% of the US population thereabout lives on the coast.
right,
But when they come here, they can't invest, because it's so expensive there
right,
because they don't have as much land. So that's one of the aspects you can take advantage of as well with new construction and small multifamily is investing in those avenues, right? And so we create platforms to do that, and I noticed we used to do a process called the share investor, which is like crowdfunding.
right, right.
Similar
Well,
to
yeah, that's the last thing I was gonna talk to you about was crowdfunding, so yeah, I'm glad you're leading into that.
Right. So we called it the share investor because we obviously would share in the risk and the profit with the investors. And so how that works is there's accredited and non-accredited investors, right? And
Right.
accredited basically means you have a certain amount of wealth and assets. Non-accredited is you don't meet that criteria. But with the SEC, uh, depending on the type of investments you make, you have to report, okay?
Right,
Which we do. But the way that it works is that we would have individuals indicate what their investment amount would be. So let me give you an example. When we were doing the share investor, we were able to, I think, acquire 19 properties. And this is back when we could buy at the auctions for 80,000
Right.
to 125,000. And so we would say, we would attempt to give you a double-digit return. So one of the reasons why we stopped is when the market actually skyrocketed.
right, it's hard, that's.
It was just hard to do.
Right.
That's why rentals were tough. But that's what we were doing is we'd actually buy them. The investors would buy them, buy a property at the auction, and then we would rent them out and then let the property appreciate, and then we would sell it. So let me kind of go through the steps. So we would have investors indicate how much they could invest. So let's say that we had 10 investors that had 10,000 that they said they could allocate towards an investment. So they can give us 100,000. So we then go down to the auction. Let's say we bought a property for 100,000. So theoretically, each investor minus our share, because Dallas REIG for administering it would get a percentage. But let's say for simplistic terms, they would have 10%. So let's fast forward. Let's say we bought that property in 2015. Now it's 2025. So we bought it for, let's say, 65,000. Now it's worth 200,000.
Right,
Okay. So they get their $10,000 back and then their 10% access to the profit.
right,
So
right,
wonderful. I mean, we still have 3 of those properties left because there's tenants in there, but the remainder we've sold. I think all the investors like, can we do this again? Can we do
Yeah,
this
I'm sure they're begging.
So
for it.
fast forward to today, one of the things we're gonna do is with new construction, we're gonna start the same type of process. So
Sure,
I don't know, I know there's other groups that have probably done it. They do syndications, which is similar. But we did it from a local level here and we're really successful with it. But now I think we can, now that we're really good at the new construction processes,
right,
we're gonna open that back up for investors to participate in
right,
from a larger scale, because now you can build subdivisions or a large number of properties. And then have those individuals invest in it again.
right,
And of course, you close it, right?
of course,
You need to close it, right? And then they can participate again. So that is actually in the works right now.
great,
So
great, I'm looking forward to that. Well, Joe, I think we're getting close we're about at our end of our time here, and this has been fascinating. And I always, as you said before we started, I could always talk for 40 minutes over and over. But anyway, I look forward to learning more about the things we talked about. The new construction is very, that's fascinating. And I really appreciate you coming and sharing all that with us. And want to thank everybody for joining us for this latest podcast edition. And like I said earlier, we are going to be starting up Joe mentioned a couple of names that are going to be involved in future podcasts about owner financing, and Christensen is going to be here
wonderful.
talking. And so stay tuned and we'll be letting you know what's coming. Thanks again. Thanks again.
You're welcome.